Hi friends, this is Ronald. Today we'll see installation of secondary DNS server and installation and configuration of DNS client and how to troubleshoot primary DNS, secondary DNS issues. So before we start the installation of secondary DNS, let's confirm and verify whether the primary DNS server is working or not. In the last video, we saw like how to install primary DNS server. We installed already and we also configured. Let's check that one, whether it is working or not. You can also go to command prompt and just check DNS lookup. Oh, there is some problem with IP. Probably the IPv6 is enabled. I think we installed it here. Yes. This is the primary DNS. Let me confirm and check the IP address. It is 192.168.100.10. So I was checking the other system. Yes, here we go. It is working properly, 100.10. So primary is working. Let's go to second system. This is our okay. This is the one which we are going to make is a secondary DNS server. So step one, let me configure the IP. Same steps how we installed and configure primary. The same procedure you have to follow. Step one is configure IP address, primary DNS IP address, and secondary DNS IP address. Step two is install DNS. Step 3, configure forward lookup zone. Step 4, configure reverse lookup zone. Step 5, configure domain name in computer settings. Then restart. Then the last step extra you have to do is zone transferring from primary DNS server to secondary DNS server. So this is the extra step you have to perform. Let's begin now. IP configuration 192. 6800.20 I'll make because 10 is primary. 100.10 is primary. 100.20 is secondary. And this time I'll go to advanced DNS. And the domain name we already configured as tech.com. Whatever the domain name we configured, yahoo.com, google.com, whatever. First thing, now NS lookup you have to check. Yes, it's working. Primary server is tech.com is working with 192.168.100.10. Now we'll move to step number 2, installation of DNS. The computer name we'll change it later. Nothing, just next. The way we installed for primary server, similar way how to do it secondary as well. So once we configure secondary DNS server, we'll continue for client also. I'll show you how to add the DNS client. So installation is done. Let's go to configure forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Tools, DNS, expand the computer name. We got forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. This time you have to choose secondary zone. Right click on forward lookup zone, new zone. Next. Earlier we selected primary zone because we are planning to install a primary DNS server. Now primary DNS server already working, we already configured. Next is we need to select secondary DNS server. Secondary is a backup of primary DNS server. It supports load balancing and also fault tolerance. In future, if tomorrow primary is not working, then the client will contact to secondary DNS server. Let's select secondary DNS server. Then click on next. So you're asking the zone name, the name which you already configured in primary. The same name you have to use here, tech.com. And IP address, asking for master DNS server IP address. So here the master IP address is 192.168.100.10. So it's contacted the primary DNS server IP address. It's working. Click on next. Finish. But still it says zone not loaded by DNS server. It means the zone is yet to be transferred from primary server to secondary. We'll see that one. Let me finish this one. Creating a reverse lookup zone. Same way, right click on reverse lookup zone, new zone. Next, here also to select secondary zone, not primary. Next, so which IP address are you using? Excuse me. In your network. So whether using IPv4 or v6. So here v4, we are going with v4. Let me go with v4. The network 192.168.100. Only a network address. So this I already discussed with you in primary DNS server. If you miss that case, you can once again explain you here. Network ID in the sense you have to give only the network part. You should not mention the host part. Since in class C, the IP address is 192.168 is coming under class C. Class C supports 3 networks. If I'm using a class B IP address, so class B supports 2 networks. Say for example, I'm using class B now. That means network address of class B is 2 networks, 2 hosts. 172.160.0. Only network address, not host address, because third octet belongs to host part. This is about class B. What about class A? Class A, 1 network, 3 hosts. So only 1 octet you have to configure a valid network address. The remaining all are 0. Since we are using here a class C IP address, we need to mention class C network address. The IP address which you configured, the system IP address is 192.168.100.20. In this case, we have to use only the network part, not the host address. 192.168.100. You can see the host part is already, it is grayed out. You cannot use that octet. Alright, so let's click on next option. Again, here also asking for master DNS server IP address. So mention the master DNS server IP 192.168.100.10 is our master. Right, it's done. Click on next and finish. So same error here also, zone not loaded. Alright, so this we completed with 4 steps. The 5th step is configure domain name in computer settings. Then we'll restart. Afterwards, we'll move to primary DNS server. Then from primary DNS server, we'll transfer the zone from primary to secondary, so that all the information from primary server it will transfer to secondary server. In future, if you want to change primary to secondary, secondary to primary, you can change at any time. But make sure that only one primary will work at a time. You can have multiple secondary DNS servers, but only one primary DNS server you can have in your network. So we cannot have two domains with the same name. All right. So what I'll do now, so let me change the computer name. So the steps are quite similar. Change. So I don't like the name, which is looking very complicated name. So I'll make it simple. So I'll give it like secondary server. Or I can even mention server 2. Easy to understand. Server 2. The domain name remains same, tech.com. So here we'll keep it in workgroup only. So we'll restart now. Alright, it's restarted now. Let's log in. So this is our primary. Sorry, it is secondary. So let's this secondary DNS server. Let's check whether the zones are transferred or not. So it's not yet transferred. So let's go to primary DNS server. This is our primary. So right click on the domain name, which is first forward lookup zone transfer, then reverse lookup zone. So in forward lookup zone, we have domain name information. In reverse lookup zone, we'll be having IP address information. So let's transfer first the domain name. So right click on domain name, you can see properties. There you can find the option called zone transfers. So here we got options. First one is to any server, only to servers listed on the name server tab, only to the following servers. So where you want to transfer the zone now. So I will go with the last option, like only to the following servers which I prefer to transfer, because nothing is listed. So I'll prefer to transfer so and so IP address, so and so server. So that you have to mention now which server you are going to transfer. Only to the following servers. Edit is asking IP address of the secondary servers. So what is the secondary DNS server IP address? 192.168.100.20. Hit enter. So it will throw error, but slowly it start working. Apply it. You can just check it out now. Go to secondary server. Just refresh. Yes, it's working. All right. Likewise, you can do the same thing for reverse lookup zone. So right click on reverse lookup zone, properties, zone transfers. Third option, only to the following servers. Edit. Again asking for secondary servers. So if you have 2-3 servers, just mention the secondary server IP addresses. If you have one, mention one IP address. If you have two, mention two IP addresses. 192.168.100.20. So again the same, you got red mark, but still, as I said, it start working slowly. And also one more thing you have to do here, IP address configuration of primary DNS server. Go to advanced settings of IP configuration. If you have multiple DNS servers, secondary, then what to do? Now here we have to configure secondary DNS server IP address, which I didn't configure earlier. So now I'll configure the IP address 20. What if you have multiple DNS servers? One is fine now. If you have multiple, then just go to advanced option. Here we got an option called DNS. Then you can keep adding the secondary DNS server IP addresses. As of now, one is primary, second one is secondary. If we another one, just go and add the IP address. That's it. We can have multiple secondary DNS servers, but only one active primary. Let's check the secondary DNS server now. Just refresh it. Yes, we got all the information. All right. So it is 10. Primary server 1 is 110 and server 2 secondary 100.2, and here you can see reverse primary. So probably 100.1 we configured earlier. So we don't want this one. But we cannot see this is that see again, this is the difference between primary and secondary. This is secondary now. I cannot have a right option here. See, no records are, you are not able to see records. I cannot have option called modifying or creating, nothing. See, when I go to primary DNS server, I'll get multiple options here. You can see all the records. As I said, secondary is only a read-only DNS server. You cannot create records over there. You cannot modify it. You cannot edit it. So these are the records you can see in primary DNS server. It says it's standard primary. When I go back to secondary DNS server, I'll be not having much options there. You can see here. I can only have the option called transfer master. So I can transfer new copy zone from transfer. I can even transfer new copy from the master DNS server if this is not working. If the information which you transfer from primary to secondary is still not working, then you can say transfer from master. All right. So we can just go to command prompt and check the NS lookup. It says primary one is tech.com is a primary DNS server. And if you want complete information, ipconfig/all. Here you can see server 2 tech.com. Our IP information here now. DNS servers 192.168.100.10, 192.168.100.20. So we have one primary and one secondary DNS server. Now, for instance, now primary server is not working now. I'm not getting any updates. So what I will do now, I'll do one thing. So already clients are there now. So before troubleshooting the primary and secondary DNS server, like implementing a failover DNS server, what I will do now, first let's see how to configure a DNS client. So that is very simple. First thing, you have to have the system. Probably I have the picture which I already shown you. Okay, so let me go to client system here. So I will configure it manually. .100.30 I will take, and for primary DNS server IP address 192.168.100.20 is primary. Sorry, 10 is primary and 20 is secondary. Right? To 168.100.20. And I'll go to advanced DNS just for registration name tech.com, the domain name which you already configured. You can just verify it. NS lookup. Yes, it's working. You can even check ipconfig all. Yes, 100.10 and 20 both are showing. You can even ping. Yes. Oops. Oh, request template. So probably the network settings issue will be there. I'll just resolve it in a minute. So this issue is probably I showed in initial server 2012 videos like network configuration and all advanced settings. So you have to just turn on the file and print sharing. If it is off, you cannot have the communication. And also file sharing is for sharing folders. Now you can go back to Windows 8 machine. Yes, you can see. So it's working now. So that's the problem actually. Now the step 1 is done, IP configuration. Step 2 is simple, configure domain name in computer settings. Then restart the system. That's it. Only 2 steps here. Actually, I was looking for pictures, so I'm not able to find it. If you want, I can just draw it for you one more time, the picture which I shown you in the first video of DNS. This is the one. Like one server, two servers, one client. This is the one. This is our like primary server. And this is our secondary server. And this is client. Right? The domain name is which we configured tech.com. This system IP address is 192.168.100.10 and this one is 2.168.100.20 and the client is 100.30. So we're done with primary and secondary. Now we are going with the client system. Here also to mention primary DNS IP, that is 100.10, and also secondary DNS, which is 100.20. So this step we already done. Next thing, we have to configure domain name in computer settings. Then we have to restart it. That's it you have to do. Then later on what we'll do, we'll see like, so client now contacting to primary server. What if primary server goes down? Suddenly server is down now. Then without changing the IP address, without changing the primary IP address, client should able to contact to secondary DNS server, and suddenly in a network now the load is increasing. Everybody is trying to contact secondary server because primary is off now. It is down, unfortunately. Something goes wrong with the secondary primary server. So what I have to do now, I need to change immediately from primary. This is my secondary server, right? Secondary DNS. So I have to change this from secondary to primary without downtime. Like without, I can say, zero downtime. I don't want any downtime like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing like that. If I tell you 5 minutes, then clients cannot contact server. So I want zero downtime there. So I'll show you how to change from primary to secondary, secondary to primary also. Then how the client will contact to DNS server. I'll repeat one more time. This is my primary DNS server. All of a sudden primary server is not working, not functioning, not giving any response. The client started communicating with secondary server. As the load increasing, secondary server cannot handle it because it's read-only server, right? So he need a writable task. He needs some more power. So what I will do, I will change from secondary to primary. Then this server will work like a primary DNS server. Later, if this server comes up, it should not work as a primary. It should be as a secondary DNS server. We have to configure in that way. So I'll be showing you how to configure, how to change primary to secondary, secondary to primary also. So we'll see first, we'll complete the task which we left, like adding a DNS client. Let me finish that one first. Computer, right click, properties, change settings. Click on change option. The name it says client PC, it's fine, looks good. Then go to more. Then type the domain name, which we configured earlier, tech.com. Then click OK. So another name, full computer name is clientpc.tech.com and keep it in the work group only. Restart now. Now this information, computer name information and also IP address information will be storing in primary DNS server. The copy of that, a replication copy, will be storing in secondary DNS server. Let's have a look in that. Let's see that now. So I hope it is our secondary DNS server. This is secondary. Refresh. Yes, we got client PC and the IP address. And let's move to primary. Of course, when secondary is getting, primary also will get. So like this, if you have 1,000 computer names, it will maintain 1,000 computer names along with the IP address. That is the job of DNS for maintaining your network. Now all of suddenly DNS server is not functioning, as I said earlier. So I don't want to change my, see, there are 1,000 clients. You cannot inform everyone to change your IP addresses, right? So what I will do, what I have to do exactly here is, whatever the IP address is configured for primary DNS server, same IP address I'll configure to secondary, because primary is already down. It is out of the network. It is not functioning well. Even sometimes there are scenarios like primary is not working. It is working, but it's performing slow. So I don't want this server to be part of my network, whereas secondary is performing fast. So I want my secondary to function as a primary DNS server. So how to change this now? Primary to secondary. It's very simple. So first thing, we need to take off the primary DNS server out of the network, or you can simply stop the server. So what I will do now here, I'll say I'm in primary server. The name is primary, but you can see standard primary here. Right click on server name. We got options like all tasks. You can see option called stop the server. I'll stop it, and we are thinking that we are assuming the server is not functioning. And what I will do, I will change this IP address, or else we can even totally remove this from the network. Instead of removing it, I'm just changing the IP address, some which is 101, which is not in use. Make sure that the IP address which is not in use. If not, simply you can turn off the system itself if it is bothering you. And this is okay. This IP address doesn't bother me in my network. My primary server is totally down now. You can see when I say DNS lookup, no information now. 10 it says unknown. But remember, with that 10 only, clients are trying to contact now. Clients already having primary DNS server as a 10. You can see, let me open the client machine. Now client, I cannot call everyone, inform that please change the IP address. No, it is not possible. So I have to do with only my primary and secondary DNS. Whatever is there, I have to solve the issue within my servers. I cannot tell the client machines. You can see here, even the client, they're trying to contact with 100.10 only. You can see 100.10. So when I see next time on DNS lookup, instead of unknown server, it should show a valid server name there. That's what our task now, troubleshooting part. So once again, let me go back to my primary server. Yes, it is stopped. Then I'll come to now my secondary server, which is working, it's running. Now, only thing I need to change. First thing, I'll change the IP address. I'll make this as 10 now. 20 is okay because clients are trying to contact to 10 only. And I'll make this as here. Simple. Right click on domain name, properties. You have to do for forward lookup zone and also for reverse lookup zone. Right click on domain name, go to properties. Here we got option called change. The type is secondary. Now I will change to primary. And updates, yes. Apply. The name server automatically can see. Similarly for reverse lookup zone, properties, change, primary zone, apply. And just check for name server because the earlier the name server primary, yes, still it remain primary one, which I don't want. The server should be server 2 now. And edit it. And so what I will do now, so I'll add 192.168.100.10 and this one I'll delete it. One 168.100.10. Okay, it's resolved. Let me once again cross verification. Okay, it's showing 100.10 command prompt. You have to do one thing, that is you have to clear the cache actually. For troubleshooting, you don't want the previous one, just clear it. Flush DNS. Do it 3-4 times. Then ipconfig register DNS. 2 or 3 times. Check now NS lookup. Yes. It is primary one tech.com. Yes, because of this. Let me give the server name, fully qualified domain name server 2 dot tech.com. Then I'll resolve it. Yes. Now it is coming. I use the IP address over there. Instead of domain name, host name, I mention IP address. That's why it's showing like primary one only. Similarly for this name server, it is still primary. And this is server -2 dot tech.com. Resolve it. This is for troubleshooting part only. Now, see, it is resolved now. Server 2. When I go to my client PC, earlier it's showing unknown. Now it will come like server 2. See, this is what will do load like fault tolerance. Whenever the primary server goes down, immediately it resolve the issue. Then you can keep on adding the secondary servers. That you can do it anytime. All right. This is what about installing primary DNS server, configuring primary DNS server, installing secondary DNS server, configuring secondary DNS server, and we also seen how to add the DNS client, and we also saw like how to troubleshoot if primary server is not working, then how to make secondary as a primary DNS server. So this is important part for troubleshooting. Hope this part is very clear for you in troubleshooting of DNS, and thanks for watching.